Hello folks, it's probably going to be a while before my next full Urbex with NEMP video is complete, so in the meantime I wanted to make a little video discussing a couple abandoned places I explored in the past, namely the Cermak Farm and the Salem Lake facility. These places can change very quickly over time, and as the months and years pass, I often discover new information on them that was previously unknown to me, so I think it's worth looking back on them as a sort of addendum or update. I've gotten conflicting information over whether this name is actually pronounced Cermak or Cermak, but in old newsreels about Anton's assassination, they pronounced it as Cermak.
Miami pays its last tribute to Mayor Cermak of Chicago.
So that's what I went with. Anyways, I explored this location in November of 2023. As stated in my video, the site was deteriorating very quickly because vandals were constantly hitting it. At the end of 2023, about a month after I posted the video, one of the houses was set on fire in what was most likely the work of arsonists. In response to the news of this blaze, one of the former residents of the neighborhood came forward to express their sadness over what was lost and soon to be lost, saying, quote, "That was my family's farm. My mom's house was in the middle of the east end of the farm, right next to the two-story brick house which was my grandparents'. It's been heartbreaking to me. In that barn are countless ceramic molds that can no longer be made, most of them over 60 years old, maybe even over 100 years old." I drove by the property the following January, and as you can see, the house in question is just a chimney and a pile of rubble buried under the snow. Also by this point, a couple of the houses had their siding completely removed. On February 12, 2024, another house, this blue one, burned down. In both of these cases, firefighters didn't waste any resources in putting out the fires because the properties were already abandoned. Over the next 2 months, the rest of the buildings at the Cermak Fur Farm were torn down one by one. The barn and its silo were the last to go. I can't seem to get a solid answer as to what the future purpose of the land will be. I've heard variously that they plan to build a freeway interchange, an apartment complex, a truck dealership, or a truck service station. I believe the last two are the most plausible outcomes, as records show that the property is owned by a truck company. As it stands currently, the only thing present on the land are a couple piles of gravel. While I was working on the video, amidst my quest to find as much information on the location as I could, I sifted through the website of John Rouse, a local photographer who specializes in documenting barns and farmland. I figured I had to find a picture of the barn in here somewhere, and sure enough, I did. This is the only picture that I've managed to find online of the Cermak farm after it was abandoned and before the trees were cut down. I contacted John asking if I could use this photo in my video, and he gladly said yes, even sending me a couple other photos he took of the barn. Also, when I discovered that the farm used to belong to the Cermak family, I genuinely thought I was the first one to the story, but as it turns out, John beat me to the punch, having compiled a bunch of info about it in a PDF. The farm's history was initially a bit of a mystery to him as well, but luckily, a good old coincidence came along.
Now, this barn here, it's got many coats of paint. I didn't know who owned it, and I was at the Newport Township. I had some pictures, and the woman said, "Oh, that's my dad's farm." So I found out who owned it.
I visited this property in January of 2024. This came about a month after a fire occurred within the building. I haven't been able to pinpoint when exactly this fire occurred because it doesn't appear there were any news articles reporting on it. There is, however, a TikTok from December 31st, 2023 showing the building in the aftermath of the fire, so I presume it occurred either that same day or within the few days prior. Now, if you'll recall, the first house fire at the Cermak farm also occurred around the same time, December 29th to be exact. The timing could just be a coincidence, but given how close these two abandoned sites are and their notoriety, I do wonder if they were lit on fire by the same person or group of people. There's a surprising amount of documentation of this facility online. I've counted at least 21 TikTok videos of people exploring the property at various points over the last 2 years. and there are numerous online posts and forums of people discussing the site. The conspiracy theories about this facility persist, but I've recently found some information that I'm surprised no one else seems to have brought up, and I hope that I could use it to debunk some of the conspiracy claims. So, in Stringer Media's documentary, he points out how numerous homes along the same road that the facility connects to were abandoned and demolished around 2018 and 2019. He senses that there is government activity at play here, and as it turns out, he's correct. However, and I'm sorry to disappoint, it is not the FBI. While looking at old Google Street View images from 2019, I noticed that on the side of one of the buildings featured in the documentary, a worker wrote, "Property acquired for highway construction, to be demolished." I immediately knew what it must be referring to. See, about 2 miles south of the Salem Lake facility is the northern terminus of Illinois Route 53. Over the course of several decades, there have been proposals to try and extend it further north into Lake County. In maps of the proposed highway, you can see that it would have run right through the entryway to the Salem Lake facility, as well as through several nearby houses. You can see these properties highlighted in these maps for purchase by the state government. In 2018, the state rejuvenated its efforts to build the extension, forcing these people out of their homes. Ultimately, though, this project never came to fruition. I revisited the site in May of 2024 to see what it looked like in the spring. There was more graffiti and vandalism still. I walked around a bit more of the property and got to see some different angles of the building's exterior. I peeked inside a nearby maintenance shed. It contained a manhole that descended into a flooded pipe room. In the main facility, I explored an area of the basement that I overlooked in my first visit and found a shower room that looked very creepy with all the soot on the walls. I'm probably not going to revisit this place again without a good reason. In addition to being completely trashed, there's this noxious smell throughout the whole building that I'd rather not deal with. A pretty significant development occurred in September of 2024. A representative of a local Bible college was walking through the nearby forest preserve and grew curious about the decrepit-looking building he saw beyond the tree line. He submitted to the village government a proposal to transform the property into a new college campus and dormitory. Because the fire damage is relatively minor, the building's structure is still in good shape and could be renovated again.
And so you can see that these are current pictures we've taken recently of just a building that's not in repair at all. Again, the inside currently on the left, what it used to look like on the right, what it can look like.
I stated in the video that previous plans to reuse the property have been unsuccessful, but this might actually have some promise, given that it has garnered significant support from the town. It's a beautiful location, and I would love to see it be reused. So yeah, that's all I have for today. I'm thinking I might do more of these short retrospective videos in the future. It'll be interesting to see how other abandoned sites I've visited transform as time goes on. As you can tell, I don't upload very often, so these shorter videos would be a good way to fill dead space between content. I'd like to thank you all for the huge amount of support for the channel lately, and I will see you in the next video.